Hi everyone, welcome. We'll just give it a minute or two for anybody else that wants to join us. You're welcome to have your cameras on or off. It's completely up to you. It's lovely to meet you. I am Claire Venus and I manage the Culture Northumberland project with Beth Wardle. Thank you so much to Northumberland County Council for funding the project and also funding us to do these workshops for you all. They're free, they're open access, they're going to be on YouTube afterwards and people can get the replays. But here live, obviously, it's just us in the room, but it will be going on YouTube. So if you feel more comfortable with your camera off, that is totally fine. You're so welcome. There's some new faces and new names to me, so that's really nice. We're going to ask you if you'd like to put your name, the name of your business, and one social media URL in the chat so people can follow you rather than look at your website. So the main social media that you use, that would be really good. But I'll introduce you to Beth. Beth's going to take most of the lead for this workshop, but we're going to both share our experiences of using social media as creatives. Beth is full-time. She's a full-time content manager, digital officer for various different companies. So she's got a ton of experience. And we know each other in real life, but actually got to know each other via our online presences when we were kind of trying out like a bit of a kind of mum blog kind of vibe. So it was really sweet to be able to meet in person and talk about the potential for growing a presence online and what was working and what was kind of fun to try and fun to do. And that was a long while ago, I think maybe like 2016-ish, Beth. But yeah, so we've got a bit of a history of understanding our each other's social media presence online, and then we worked together on the Culture Northumberland project. So welcome, Beth. Do you want to tell everybody about what you do and all of the different bits of experience you've got, and then we'll delve into the content topic?
Yeah, of course. So I just want to start off by saying I've just noticed behind me there's like a row of legs, and it's actually I've got a
Oh,
herd
there
of
they
cows.
are.
There they are. And there's also a herd of cows outside, and they're going a bit mad today because our next door neighbours are having building work done. So I hope it's not too noisy with builders and cows and all of that. So I'm
Rural
Beth, and
life.
as I said, I work with her on the Culture Northumberland project, and then I'm also digital officer for Family Explorers Northeast, which is part of the Family Arts Network project. And I'm a marketing manager for dance company Metaphor Dance and Susie Tate's projects. If anyone knows Susie. And in the past, I've done social media as well for big brands where it's all very marketing focused, which I don't really enjoy that side, to be honest. And that's why I absolutely love the work that I get to do now, because it's much more creative. And hopefully, during this workshop today, we'll go into a little bit more about what that means and the difference between the brandy marketing stuff on social media and what we're doing on social media and how you're going to be using it.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I think, the reason we put this workshop together was we were finding that a lot of creatives were kind of doing all the things, being on all the platforms, and then finding themselves burning out with that because there are a lot of platforms. And then somebody might be having a really good experience in Facebook groups or on Pinterest or on TikTok. And we're questioning, is this something that we should be putting energy into? And I know you've seen a lot of different social medias come and go over the years and things get really popular and then algorithms change and stuff, Beth. I'd just be really interested in what you use now, like what feels good to you. So outside of the work that you do, where you put your energy, you still kind of scheduling stuff across multiple platforms, or do you focus in on one or two? How does it work?
Yeah, so for quite a while, I felt so Instagram was always like my favorite platform to be on because I got the most engagement from there. And but then for a while, I fell out of love with it for quite a long period of time, and I just focused on client work and kind of did all of that. And then the Northumberland Gear Change got in touch and asked to work with me again, and I had to go out and create content for them again. And when I did it, and I was filming and taking photos, I'm not a photographer or a
Well,
videographer.
you are. You're being very humble because you're very good at photography. So
Uh,
this is the thing. Although it's not our professional main gig, like we've had to learn it, haven't we? We've had to kind of
yeah,
learn how to bring it into our skill set. And I think you are very good at that.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. But it's something that brings me a lot of joy. So I enjoy doing it, and I enjoyed that creative side that comes from creating content and then um, posting it, sharing it, working with the brand, and then having the conversations afterwards with people who have stuck around for the last however many years. It doesn't matter that I disappeared for a little bit and had a break, I came back and they're still there. And so when we talk about later on, we'll talk about finding our audience online and the importance of really honing in on that loyal following that you have. Yeah, I think that's important. And so, in terms of spreading yourself across the platforms, I don't think it's something that you can keep up with. Like you say, you'll burn yourself out, and it's not necessarily needed. I think it's definitely important to pick two and focus on two platforms in particular.
Yeah, that's really nice advice. And obviously for Culture Northumberland as a project, because it's a project that we are commissioned to deliver by the council. So what we wanted to do was make sure that we were in the place that you guys are so that we could have the conversation. So we decided, yes, to keep an eye on the website, but to put most energy into our mailing list, which used to be hosted on MailChimp and is now hosted on Substack, and then into a Facebook group. So Beth will check in on the Facebook page and schedule things in on Twitter or reply to people if there's anything there, but we're kind of letting Twitter die back a little bit just because so many people have left and have quite conflicted views about it. And just kind of don't enjoy being there. So for us, the Facebook group has grown steadily. I think we're over 700 members now. We know that there's been a real influx in creative makers and artists since the pandemic. Lots of people relocating to Northumberland, people kind of discovering a new talent or a side hustle for kind of making art or being creative. And so we've seen like a real profile change in the people that were there. It was mainly kind of creative freelancers and the artists that we knew from Northumberland and then the wider Northeast, but it's been really different. So we're networking within our kind of colleagues, but there are people there who are kind of, yeah, coming in that I wouldn't have expected to see, say, 2, 3 years ago. So that's the main place where we'll kind of post and share your work. What we always say is if someone emails us, and they've got a press release or they've got an idea for a post, Beth and I will just have a quick email chat about what's the best place, where's going to get them the most views. So if it was a blog on the website, sending it out via the newsletter or doing a social media post or all of those three, really, we'll kind of have a chat and work that out. But we're here to profile what you guys do, whether that's the behind the scenes stuff or you've got an event or an exhibition or something popping up. So we can do all of that under the Culture Northumberland brand. And the longevity of that project depends on it being used by you guys. So if the council were to commission it again for a fifth year next year, it would be because it was being used. If it's not needed, then obviously it'll just fall by the wayside. But at the moment, we're about 550 email subscribers, over 700 on the Facebook group, and then we've got regular website traffic as well, and we try to kind of keep that up to date. So that's what we do for the project. Personally, I use something called Substack a lot and I educate about Substack. So that's 90% of my energy. It's my online home, and then I top up with Instagram because I like the storytelling element, I like the video and the aesthetic of just kind of connecting in with people on just the day to day, I think. So that's what I do, and I wanted to share that first. But I'll hand back to Beth and we can go through the topics. I'll paste them in the little chat below so you can follow through what we're doing, and we will have time for questions at the end. If you've got a question during the workshop, just pop it in the chat and I'll either try and get to it or we can get to it at the end. Okay.
Okay, because I've just seen that Chris has asked the $1 million question is which two social media platforms to use. So I will come on to that in a little bit. So first of all, I'm hoping that by the end of the session, you will all feel a little bit more positively about social media. So it's not just something that you feel you have to use. You've actually created a place where you want to be. Maybe some of you feel like that already, which is great. But I imagine perhaps for many of us, it's seen as an extra thing we have to be doing. So I shall go on to the first thing. Right. How to find your audience online. So first things first, it isn't about your follow count. So rather than having a huge reach where you don't impact people individually. It's more about really knowing your audience. So think about, who is your brand? Who do you want to be reaching? You might have 30,000 followers on social media, which is amazing, brilliant. But that number might not necessarily be interested in your work, or they're not as invested in you, meaning they're not going to be as supportive of you. So, however, you may have 100 followers who are going to buy your book if you've brought a book out. They're going to come to your events. They're going to share your projects and recommend you to other people. And that is so much more valuable than worrying about what your follower count is. So don't get bogged down and upset by how many people are following you on social media. So as we just mentioned, think about which platforms you're going to be using. So I always think 2 is a good number to focus on. You could just do 1, that's also absolutely fine. But I think it's better to do that than spread yourself thinly across all the platforms, thinking, oh, I've got to be here, I've got to be on there. So in terms of which ones I recommend that you use, I'm going to be really annoying and say it's mostly up to personal preference, because you have got to enjoy being on those platforms. Think about where your audience are most likely to be as well. So I mentioned that I worked for a big brand. They were a big wine company, and they focused on 2 main social media platforms. And one of the platforms was actually Facebook, even though a lot of people will tell you Facebook isn't as popular anymore. So kind of Instagram, TikTok have taken over. However, their audience were on Facebook. I don't want to go into what the demographic was because I don't want to offend anyone, wine lovers, but they were on Facebook. So that was the 2 platforms that they focused on. So a lot of it is down to your preference, because it's where you're going to be spending your time and where you think people who are going to be interested in your work are going to be. So when you are on the platform of choice, you need to create a feed that you want to see. So you want to follow like-minded people, other creatives, people who are going to share things that interest you. So again, I help with Facebook management for a small business. And when I go on their Facebook to do their posts for them and reply to comments and things, I actually don't look through their feed. I just go on straight to the page and post, because the type of the pages and people that they follow aren't things that I want to be seeing on social media. So, for example, if you don't want to go on social media and read loads of news stories that are going to make you feel sad or worried or anxious, don't follow news profiles and pages. And so you're really creating a feed that is going to be enjoyable when you're going on social media, that you're seeing as well. Because the other thing is, on social media, you need to be interacting with other people on there. It's called social media, so you've got to be sociable. So you're using it to profile, raise awareness of yourself, but you don't want it to just be marketing. You're on there to chat to other creatives. You're there to share their work, because then they will hopefully share yours too, and you're supporting each other. So being interactive, you're giving back to social media as well as using it. And like I say, hopefully people will return the favour and share your work as well. In terms of kind of reaching perhaps a bigger audience, connecting with people who aren't already following you or don't know what it is, what you're doing, what you're creating, what it's all about. Facebook can be a good place for sharing your work into Facebook groups. So obviously we've got the artists and creatives group. There's small businesses for Northumberland, what's on Northumberland. groups like that you can join and share work that you're doing. And then wider groups outside of Northumberland use Facebook a bit like a search engine, search for what it is that what you're sharing, what you're posting about. There might be a support group. And so I'm part of a lot of children's writers support groups on Facebook because that's what another part that I'm working in. And there's loads of things out there, and you can share your work to those places. I still remember the first time I plucked up the courage to share something I was working on to Morpeth Matters, because that group can be quite intense. But you know, if people don't like what it is that you're sharing, they'll just move on. They won't click on your link, and that's fine. You don't want them to be following you anyway. But the people who are interested might not have heard of you or what you're doing, and they'll click and follow through. So next we'll talk about growing consistently. So this is something I think is quite important, and I think we can link this to your well-being while you're using social media as well. Growing consistently, you need to be showing up consistently, but that doesn't mean you have to be posting every single day. So set yourself a realistic posting schedule. And I always think 3 times a week is quite a good, manageable amount. Go on every day and post every day if you want to. You might be absolutely loving it and you want to be there all the time, that's fine. But I think to avoid kind of the burnout, the pressure, oh, I've not been on today kind of thought, 3 times a week is a good kind of balance to have. I used to have this really nice sparkly notebook that I used for social media, and I wanted to show you it, but I can't actually find it now. It was full. I've finished using that. It was a separate book that I used for planning what I was going to share on social media. So I kind of just drew a plan of the week and wrote in, you know, on the days that I wanted to post, what it was I was going to be sharing. So you could maybe do this like on a Sunday evening, just spend 5 minutes planning your week ahead, what you're going to go and share, what it is that you need to be talking about at the moment. So I'll give you an example of 3 different posts that you could do throughout the week to vary what it is you're posting, to really engage with your audience and get them to invest in you as a creative. So post 1, which you might want to put out on a Monday, could be sharing a project that you're currently working on. So just talking about what it is that you're doing. That's kind of the worky post for that one. And then post 2, which you could do on a Wednesday, will be your behind the scenes post. Now these are my favourite ones to do, and they're also my favourite ones that I see other people posting as well. And this is your storytelling post. And this is the one where your audience are really going to get to know you, and they're going to build a relationship with you, trust, and they want to know what's happening. And also, I think people are quite nosy, and we do like to see the work processes of other people and how, you know, what it is that goes on behind the scenes. So I've got some ideas written down for behind the scenes type posts that you could do. So share a picture of your workspace, what your desk or your art studio might look like. You might want to share a recent favourite day out that you've had. Again, you could tag in local businesses or people, and again, they'll share your post, and it might inspire other people. You might have a nice work playlist that you like listening to on Spotify. You can share that. You could do a little like day in the life type reel. I love watching these because I am also a bit nosy, where you just share a day in the life. It doesn't have to be a video. You could just take a series of photographs throughout the day. You don't have to include your face, but I do think it's nice to put a face to a business or a name sometimes. So you could share, you might have other hobbies like baking, running, just a little bit about the person who's behind the account. And yeah, audiences were like that, and I think they're a bit more trusting and yeah, committed to you as well then. And post number 3 would be if you've got something to sell or promote. So you might have an exhibition coming up, or you're running an event, or you've got something to sell. And that would be on your 3rd post. If you're having a quiet spell and you feel like, oh, I haven't really got anything that I could be talking about at the moment, you could talk about that and share it. People like to see the authenticity of it all. If you're having a bad day, it's okay to say, oh, this was really, I found this bit of work challenging, or maybe you've had a rejection from a funding application. Look after yourself first, process it, deal with it. And then if you feel comfortable, say it, tell your audience about what's going on, what's happening. It's okay to share that side of it as well, because actually people appreciate that, I think, than rather just pretending it's all easy and happy all the time. But just if you feel comfortable doing that. So continue to share your new work and projects to the Facebook groups that we talked about. You're supporting other people's pages as well. You're giving as well as taking from people on social media. And then when you're sharing your posts, remember always to add a link in if it's relevant. Obviously, your post that's kind of behind the scenes might not necessarily be relevant to put a link in with those. That's okay. But you want to add a call to action to your posts that you're putting out there. So you might end it with sign up to my newsletter, head to my website, you can book tickets here, that kind of thing, on the end of your post. So always kind of take people away from that social media post by sending them to your website or newsletter. If you find it easier with staying consistent, you can schedule your posts ahead of the week. So as Claire said, I'll sometimes do this with the Culture Northumberland and most of my other clients. I'm not on every single day posting. What I will say is you do need to remember to go back on once the post has gone live and interact with that post. So if people have commented on it, they've asked you a question or they've sent a message, you still need to be going on and interacting with it. So Meta Business Suite is free to use. You can link your Facebook and Instagram on there and post for free. And you can tailor each post on the Business Suite for Facebook and Instagram. So I think this is why a lot of the time we say just to focus on 1 or 2 platforms, because you can't create the same content for, say, Facebook and post that across all the platforms. It's got to be tailored to each different platform because each platform works differently. So obviously Twitter, you haven't got a very long word count. Instagram's a bit more visual, so you've got your photographs and reels. Same with TikTok, obviously that's all video content. LinkedIn's a little bit more business tone. So Meta Business Suite lets you tailor it for those 2 different ones. I also use Buffer for Twitter because there's so much you can do in Buffer without having to pay. And also Canva, if you're a paid user on Canva, they have scheduling tools too that you can use. So I'll just carry on if that's all right with everyone.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll just say on all of the kind of scheduling and the different platforms and the kind of coming to this, I do feel like a lot of it, once we plan it out in the notebook, like Beth mentioned, we get to the breakthroughs when we go onto the platforms and we're like, right, I'm going to do a post. It can just be quite overwhelming because there's a lot of noise there. And we're like, oh, what is my voice in this space? Whereas if we're planning it out ahead of time. So one of the things that I did when I first arrived on social media was planned out all the topics I was comfortable talking about. So like baking or, living in Northumberland, living by the beach, being a parent. So all of the things that aren't necessarily about the work that I do, but are topics that I can kind of draw on to tell stories or to kind of draw things out or to kind of use as a teaching example. And all of that went into a notebook. And then I would like clock what people were most interested in. So when a post had a few comments or more likes or whatever else, I would try and kind of clock and like correlate all of that up. So that gave me a bit of an easier way through of just going, okay, well, it feels really easy and intuitive to just show up, like Beth says, 3, 4 times a week, be there on Instagram stories. That was my focus. With some of the other platforms, so LinkedIn, which I do sporadically, people seem to want like you to have done something really good. They like it on there on LinkedIn. If you've done something really good, they're all over it. If you're just sort of generally chit-chatting and talking about what you're doing in your week, it doesn't seem to get as much traction. But LinkedIn isn't one of my main platforms, and you can find people that are on there that teach LinkedIn and stuff like that. So if you're looking to get commissions or network with colleagues and stuff like that. I mean, we're all here together. We need to be supporting each other more. It's so important. Otherwise, we're all posting into the void and none of us are able to grow. So what I want to do following this series of workshops is just have some kind of pointers for how you can support your colleagues, but also link some of the groups that Beth mentioned, because some of these groups have tens of thousands of people, don't they, Beth? There was like a Christmas one in Northumberland one year, and it was just insane. There was so many people in this one group, and that can get you quite a lot of reach if you're a product-based business or if you're doing Christmas markets and stuff. So we'll do that for you. On the scheduling out, I wanted to ask Beth specifically around times of day and times of the week, because I know this has been a massive topic over the course of the time I've been posted on social media. Get your post in time, stick to that post in time. Most people are online at this time. And you can see some of those analytics in the back office, can't you, to kind of see when most of your audience are online. So do you tend to like look at that and go with, okay, most people are online then, so I'm going to reach that amount of people, and then that algorithm might pick up that post a bit better than it would if it was like, like a random 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah, so you can go into your insights, which I think you can do on all platforms. You can go on the insights and it'll tell you the demographic of your audience, when they're online. If you use the scheduling tools, a lot of them will pick that up as well. They'll recommend times for you to post. Um, so you can use that as long as you're then also going on and interacting at that time with other people as well while your audience are online. So you could schedule your posts to go out, but then if you're not actually there showing up, you're not going to be reaching the audience in the same way. The post it at those times, but then make sure you're also going on. I would say as well, though, there's nothing wrong with every now and again just going, oh, I just feel like in the moment, I'm just going to quickly share this moment right now, because actually sometimes those posts can do really well. And it's something that's always changing as well. So I think this is perhaps what people might find frustrating with social media, is that a lot of things change and there's always updates, or there's always a better time to be posting, or showing up and things. So do what's going to work for you and be, something that's manageable for yourself, I think is most important. And then if you are kind of thinking, oh, I'm posting something and not many people are interacting, I don't think it's reaching that many people, then go on your insights and have a little look at, maybe people aren't online or whatever at that time. And again, the more that you go on and use it, and the more that you're there showing up, and having those positive interactions, you'll get to know your audience. So you'll then just learn, you'll know what time they're more likely going to be online, um, as well. So yeah, use that. And just when you said as well, Claire, about posting in the groups, and like the Christmas one, there was loads of people posting, it was busy. And I think sometimes you might get worried that your post is just going to be lost in those groups, or there's so many different people competing to share their business and make their voice be heard. Don't let that put you off posting, because you might share something that that one particular person is looking for right at that moment. Because I know that it can feel very noisy and busy, and you do feel like you're competing a lot of the time. But that's, you just do you. You put out what it is that you want to say, and the people who are interested will come and follow you and buy from you, or just ask you a question or something what you're hoping to get. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. I think it's that thing of just remembering the end goal, isn't it? So if you want people to sign up to your mailing list, if you want people to buy something from you, then that's what we're telling them to do. That's what it's always leading towards that, hopefully. And I think, there's a statistic. It used to be that people had to see something around 7 times before they took action on seeing that thing if they were finding it on social media. It's now between 7 and 22, depending on the profile of the person looking at it. So 22 times is a lot of times. You might have someone follow you for 6 months. I've had this, and then I've never heard anything from them, and they just book in. They just book in and they want to do like my next course or a one-to-one or something. And I'm like, where have you come from? But they've been there in the background, not liking anything, not commenting, just reading, gently doing what we do. Just some people will just be like that. So you might feel a certain way, but I think it's all working towards the bigger goal of you being able to kind of stay consistent in a career in the arts and cultural sector. Yeah, and I think we're going to talk a bit about creativity and other things, aren't we, Beth?
Yeah, yeah. And then just to add to that as well, like you say about seeing things a certain number of times before they act on it, you might feel like you're talking about something quite a lot, and you might think, oh, I've already mentioned that this week, I can't talk about it again. Just do it, talk about it, keep mentioning it, because as Claire says, people aren't necessarily going to react to it straight away. They need to hear it a few times before it kind of they process it and think, oh yeah, actually, let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, so next up is staying creative online. And I think this is really important, and this is my favorite thing about social media and being online, is the creativity that it can bring. And how you use social media obviously will reflect that. So do it in a way that is comfortable for you. So when you're posting and sharing things, first of all, think about yourself. Are you happy with what you are posting? Is it making you stressed or anxious? Because it shouldn't be, so don't post it if it is. Share it in a way that obviously represents you. And I think we're all very unique here in that we're all creating something completely different, and our opinions are different and everything. So yeah, share what it is you're creating on social media, and sharing it's got to represent you or your brand and your voice. So do you like to take photographs? Like I said, I'm not a photographer, but I do enjoy taking photos, and I do enjoy trying to be a bit creative with them. I love making short videos. The big brand I mentioned at the start, I didn't particularly enjoy the marketing role in that job, but the one thing I did love is when they asked me to make a reel, and I got to then be creative. So yeah, make short videos. I love making ones now of the kids, because it's so nice to look back on. Like in a year's time, I might watch a reel I made or something. Perhaps you're more chatty and you like writing more. That's fine too. That's how you're going to be creative in your online space. Um, Instagram's quite a good place if you like to share short, quick snippets, videos, and stories. They disappear after 24 hours, but you can add them to a highlights reel if you would like them to stay a little bit longer. It's good for tagging and adding links to your work. You might want to use tools such as Canva or Lightroom, or Splice is a good video editing app. And again, in Canva, I always think when you first go on, you think, oh, everything here looks a bit kind of generic or a bit salesy marketing, but you can strip it all right back and you can create whatever you want on there. So you can play around with fonts, with colours, add your photos, whatever it is that represents you. On Canva, you can set up like your media kit and put your favourite, the colour of your brands and things into there. I'm sure you will perhaps know how to use that anyway, but that's a good way of kind of just experimenting a little bit, maybe trying something a bit different. And my next point is to try something new. If something's not working, it's fine. Scrumple it up into a ball, throw it away, and try something else, a different idea. People aren't going to unfollow you or not like what you're doing because you've done one post a little bit different because perhaps you're just trying something new. It's just about experimenting and having fun with it along the way, and keeping your creativity even when you're on social media. Um, and again, I think that comes into kind of the well-being side of it as well. You've got to look after yourself and share what makes you happy. And yeah, because if you're going to be on there quite a lot, it needs to be a nice place to be.
And I think there's that point, isn't there, Beth, around we're allowed to be a bit scrappy, as we're learning. If you were to scroll back to the very first set of posts that somebody that you really admire on social media posted, it would be scrappy. It would not look as it does now. We're allowed to be in that process and we don't have to be hard on ourselves in that. So when B-roll got popular, so B-roll would just be like if I'd set my iPhone up to just film me talking to you guys right here now, and then that would be some B-roll and maybe like film myself making a cup of tea or whatever else. It doesn't have to be, it could be out in nature, it could be anything. But you can put that on social media and put some text over the top of it, and it is not high intensity to create something like that. It feels a bit strange to start with, but it's probably one of the easiest ways to create relatability and also have some video content ready to share, which boosts the algorithm. Like Instagram just love reels, anytime I've been posting reels, the reach goes up, the followers go up, the reach to accounts that aren't currently following me goes up. So it does work. And I think leaning into what works with the time that we've got is a really important part of staying creative, because it's no good just giving ourselves a brand new full-time job. Like we're going to learn the ins and outs of Instagram. We need to lean into what feels good to us and what we've got to hand. So if we've got a phone and we're making a cup of tea, all of us, that's it, and we can talk about our day, but the behind the scenes of our day. So I think getting a formula for what works for you, whether that's, slides on Canva and digitizing them so they're kind of timed and the text flies in and it's a bit like a video, or if you turn photos to live photos on an iPhone, Instagram recognizes those and it'll just like make them move. So you could have, 10 live photos and that'll again create a reel. And that's quite easy and fun to do. So leaning into what you think might work for you within the topics, within the time you've got. It doesn't have to be massively time consuming, but it's all going to work towards raising your profile. And I just thought I would just share that little bit of what I have experienced with it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And also, I think when we see things on, say, Instagram Reels that are trending, and you might think, oh, I'll have a go at doing that. So my favourite one recently was the Northumberland Zoo, and they did the when Gen X write the script for social media, and it was very funny, and they did it really, really well. But again, it was pretty simple how they did it and what they did, and it was, you could tell they were having fun making it as well, I think. And I think that's perhaps why the audience appreciated it so much. It was just fun. It was nothing serious or heavy. And yeah, so it was experimenting a little bit. Sometimes when things are trending, everyone's then making that same video. So perhaps you could do it in a way that's a little bit unique to you and a little bit different to kind of experiment a bit with that as well.
I'll try and find an example to share because I haven't seen that. So I literally got no idea what you're talking about, but I can tell that it sounds quite funny. So I'd quite like it. I think that's the thing, like if you bring personality in, if you bring humor in, your audience get to feel like, okay, my nervous system is nice and chill here. And remember, we're being bombarded. People want to show us all of the bad things in the world on social media. We get to curate that, like Beth said. But if we get known for, being, I don't know, just light and funny and whatever else it is that we are, like I'm not necessarily going to go onto my Instagram stories and have a right old moan. I did the other day actually, but I was just generally a bit tired and overwhelmed. It brings in a bit of the reality. Usually I keep it all really upbeat. I go on when I'm feeling excited to share something and I bring that through the screen, share more of the behind the scenes of my business because I enjoy it, my audience feedback, and that all feels really good. So thinking about that, and if there are artists here that do, play on that polarization and play on that controversy, that's all good as long as you know that about yourself and you know that, okay, I'm doing this to spark conversation, to spark debate. Like there's space for all of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and just remember as well that you're sharing on social media what feels comfortable for you as well. So don't share things because you feel like you have to, or because it feels like everybody else's, but actually it doesn't sit very comfortably with you as well. So for example, like some people don't like sharing their children on social media at all, and that's obviously fine. Whereas some people will share absolutely everything. And but you mustn't do that just because other people are doing it. You've got to do what sits right with you as well, and what feels comfortable in that. Yeah. Okay. Um, so that brings us on quite nicely, I think, to the social media overwhelm, the whole comparison that goes on when you are online, and taking care of your well-being as well. Because I think sometimes I know if I go on social media, I know straight away that I need to come off because I'm perhaps just not in that right place to be watching somebody who has achieved something that I'm working so hard towards, and I've actually just had a knockback in it, for example. I don't then want to go on and see someone celebrating. While I'm very happy for them, and I might even like it and comment to say well done, because I am deep down I will be happy for them. It's not going to help me right in that moment. So I think it's about recognizing things like that. So you can limit your time on social media. I know, Claire, you like to delete apps like at a weekend, for example. Nothing's going to disappear what you've done. You just reinstall it and it's all there again. Log out. I don't have notifications on my phone for any social media, for none of the apps. I turned them all off because otherwise it's just constantly going and you get sucked in when you're meant to be doing other things. Um, Set timers. So if you know that you have to go on and share a piece of work that you're working on, you want to interact with some people, perhaps people that you've followed along with today, um, go on and support them, show some love and shares, and then maybe just spend 20 minutes or a half an hour, set your timer, and then come off. And then you don't end up doing the doom scroll where you're actually just wasting all the time scrolling through funny videos, which are sometimes quite nice to watch. But if you limit your time, I think that's a helpful tool. And don't allow notifications. And again, it just links back to kind of who your audience is, what you want to be seeing when you go on social media, and what you want to be seeing in your own feed. Remembering that not everything is real. So I wanted to try and find this picture. I've lost it now. It was the picture I saw this morning on Facebook, and somebody had shared a picture of this sweet old couple, and they said, oh, they've been married. It was 80 years. They were 101, 103. And I was like, oh, that's really sweet. Why am I seeing this on my feed? And I went on the comments just to kind of see what the vibe was. And everyone said straight away, oh, this is a AI generated image. And I was like, what, why would someone do that? Like, I didn't understand. And then when you zoom in on the picture, sure enough, when you look closely at the hands, it was a completely fake photograph, and I'd fallen for it. And I think that's something that you need to just bear in mind when you're on social media and you're feeling overwhelmed. Perhaps everything you're seeing is amazing. Just think about how real it all is. And again, you've curated your feed, you've got your audience, and so hopefully what you're seeing is really authentic things. But these things do pop up, even though we try not to. Perhaps join a support group for just for social media. Talk to people about how you're finding using social media. If you go to any co-working days in Northumberland, when you meet up, perhaps you could discuss something you're stuck on, how a recent post flopped and you thought it was going to do really well. Just be open and talk about it, because I think we're all feeling the same thing. And yeah, we can all message each other and just ask a question. I'm always open for people asking questions and talking about it. And then the final thing is just linking back to the platforms that you want to be on, what it is you want to be sharing, and where you're showing up, and just what you're comfortable with, and looking after yourself while trying to to do your best to grow your business and your audience. And yeah, just try and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? We've got to enjoy it and we've got to feel like it works for us. And one thing that I do definitely know is that it has become easier over the years. Like Beth says, you'll recognize when it's not feeling good, and we know, we're grown-ups, we can just log out or delete apps and that sort of thing. I think not having notifications in this day and age is like an absolute win, because nobody needs that much sensory input. Like nobody needs that. So just being able to consciously come to the platform, schedule ahead of time, batch ahead of time if you want to, be really conscious about certain times. Like I've got a friend who used to work in social media, like it's a full-time job, and she worked for a confectionery company, and she scheduled a really inappropriate post when it was time for a minute's silence, and that went out, but it like there's nothing you can do because it had gone out and it was like a Sunday thing. So she was mortified about that. Obviously had to do a big apology and make a massive donation to the charity. So things like that, obviously we're just on a small scale, but it's just thinking it all through and weaving it into your week. And then, if you want to give some space and time to learn in a platform, like let us know like what that is, because there've been some great workshops over the years. I've done workshops with Business Northumberland, and there's been various different mentoring schemes that I've been able to access to have people like sit with me and talk to me about how to use certain platforms. I employ a VA to do Pinterest for me. So on Pinterest, she designs up the tiles in Canva in a way that Pinterest likes and the right size and everything. And it all drives traffic to my mailing list. And then I'll get the notifications of people signing up. So it's a free sign up, and they get like a lovely 5-day course for free. And then that brings them into my ecosystem, and that's great. So paying her for an hour a month is totally worth my while. So whether you're at that stage of your business or not, you can still try and kind of put those different hats on and be like, okay, I'm going to be, a marketing manager today. I'm going to work on my brand today. I'm going to do, watch some YouTube tutorials or sign up to Skillshare or whatever else it is. It's all out there, but we want to help you as much as we can. So like I said, the workshops are really focused on getting people to sign up to your mailing list, because that is still the biggest and best way to sell to your audience, to get people to come to events. If you're posting on social media, it's high risk. People might not see it. People might scroll past, and then that doesn't boost the algorithm the way that you need it to. So mailing list is the one. So we're covering that off in the next session. And then we've got one more generally about profile raising. So just getting into the nitty gritty of that. But what I wanted to do is I'll take a couple of questions, but then I'll stop recording so we can all actually have a chat and you guys aren't worried about it going to the rest of the world, because the replay obviously is being sent out. But I'll see what these questions are, and then you might have. Oh, so Fran's saying the Northumberland Zoo reel's worth a watch, so we'll have a look at that. I'll get the link for that. So Fran's saying, any specific suggestions for increasing mailing list sign up from social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook groups, please? So one of the things I meant to say was, on Instagram, if you set up your links, and they might have changed this now, Beth, but I do mine through my website. So on my website, I've got a page and it's just called links. And then on there, I've got all my various different links. I did used to use something called Linktree, which is a free like app plugin thing that you can use to just link from your Instagram bio. So if you say link in bio, then it's going to be either your mailing list link, your website, like all of these different places. I don't know now whether you can have more than one link on your Instagram. Did they change it? Because I'm not
And
really
the
up to
last
date
time I
with
checked, I
it.
think you could add a few. I'm not sure how many you can add actually. Was it two, up to
I think
two?
it might be two, but anyway, having it on your website is good, because if you ever print business cards, it's the same link. Put that link on, because then you can change that link, obviously digitally, but your business cards are going to be evergreen. So if you do something like that. So yeah, so that's one thing that I did want to mention about. It's really worth doing. But in terms of increasing subs, do you want to speak to that first, Beth, and then I can jump in? But Fran's also on one of my programs for Substack, so we can cover that off separate.
Okay, oh,
But yeah,
great.
let me know what you think's been working for both yourself and your clients for getting more signups to mailing lists.
Yes, what I think is always a nice thing to do is to put a bit of a teaser out on social media. So take a little bit of what's going to be in your mailing, like a teaser from what's going to be sent out, and post that on just on Instagram stories perhaps, or do a static post if you'd like to, and then say to read more, and then you can link to your newsletter sign up there. Um, Other things to do is to remind your audience when a newsletter has gone out. So people who are already signed up, um, sometimes these things end up in junk mail and things. So just going onto your social media and saying, I've just sent out a newsletter, remember to check your inbox. And yeah, just making sure that you've got that call to action on all the posts that you're doing if you're wanting people to sign up to your newsletter. But I would definitely say, if you've got something really juicy that you're talking about or something exciting coming up in a newsletter, put out a little teaser first and then encourage people to sign up to find out more about it. And yeah, just keep adding your links. Do check every now and again if you use like Linktree and things on Instagram. Just go through every now and again and just check all your links are still working as well. Because sometimes they expire or something changes on a page and you don't necessarily go on and think to check. And then it's frustrating for your audience when they click on and they can't immediately get to what it is they're trying to find. So just keep updating and making sure they're up to date as well.
I think with newsletters as well, and we'll cover this in the next workshop, but people like exclusivity. So if you're able to say newsletter subscribers are the first to know, or newsletter subscribers get 10% off, newsletter subscribers can have this download or whatever it is that you've got, like, because people don't want more input. We don't want more work to do, you know, so it needs to be of value if we're trying to ask for their email address. And then when we write to them, again, like, thinking about what is really valuable to be sharing. So some people will love the behind the scenes and a bit of a longer post about that. Other people want the products at the top. Other people will want to come and see you in person. But making that kind of the home for everything and then teasing it out on social media, like Beth says, can be good. What I found worked really well when I was building my mailing list via Instagram was putting the question box up on stories and asking people to type their email address in. People did that more than clicking through and signing up. And I don't know why. I think it's just quite nice to fill in that box. You know, so send me your email address and I'll add you to the list. So it was a bit of extra work at the time, but it did then kind of get that little bit of exchange because I was realizing who was interested in receiving those newsletters when I first started them. So again, just trying things. It can be quite slow trying to move people from a platform to a mailing list. So I've got a client at the moment that went viral on Instagram. She had 130,000 people arrive overnight. That's the sort of thing that can go on. That's what went on for us. So it was wild. So within all of that, what she was trying to then do is obviously get them through to the next phase of what you would call a funnel, you know, funneling them into a membership, telling them about other things that she had on offer. And it is slow process, but it is working. It's showing up every day, reminding people, oh, this is how you get to it, and capturing those emails. Sometimes people struggle around whether they can capture emails at the point of sale. And so with the UK and GDPR, just make sure that you're compliant and you understand all of those rules. But essentially, if you're asking people to opt in when they buy something from you, you could then email them technically, you know, because they've already opted into you. So we'll cover some more of that next time. But yeah, just make sure you're mentioning it a lot. I mean, we have for Culture Northumberland, haven't we, Beth? Like it's quite a lot to get people to sign up to that mailing list, and you're very good at just kind of keeping the posts out, but we've got way more on socials than we have on the newsletter.
Yeah, again, it's about just reminding people that it's there, isn't it? And talking about it more than what you think you should be talking about it.
Yeah.
Again.
So
Yeah.
Louise is saying, have we got meetups in Newcastle? No, but if you contact Northeast Cultural Freelancers, they might. We have co-working in Alnwick, Berwick and Hexham. Sometimes there's a little kind of Morpeth or an Ashington thing happens, but we would put it all on the Facebook group. With those ones, but yeah, Northeast Cultural Freelancers might. And then Fran's saying Sunderland Uni is currently offering various digital skills workshops for Northumberland businesses. Oh, perfect. Great. Okay, let's get the link for that and share that. That sounds really good. There's always stuff going on because Northeast is part of the levelling up agenda. So we're always getting offered all of these workshops. Sometimes they can be a bit dry and a bit basic, but some of them are really good. So Justine saying, my most successful posts on LinkedIn have been sharing resources or other people's work, takeaways from events, sort of position myself as an expert in the field. Yeah, LinkedIn likes experts, doesn't it? Source of information. I feel like Instagram has to be about your own work more. Would you agree? What do you think, Beth?
Yeah. So Personally, I don't really like LinkedIn because I find it too businessy. And like what you said before, Claire, I feel like I would only go on LinkedIn if I was celebrating something. And so, yeah, I do find that it is more, yeah, if you've got an event or something come up, it'll be great for that. And you can network on there as well. Instagram is about your, I think in with Instagram you have the opportunity to get really personal, and I think that's where you really will grow and connect with your audience. Like I said before, um, you can, of course, you can share other people's work though. I mean, share them to your stories and things, so you can do collabs where you invite other people to be part of a post that you're doing. So you can obviously still shout about other people and what they're doing and share that. But yeah, I do feel, I would agree that Instagram is really your platform to talk about you and your business, and the behind the scenes and everything is to go on there.
And so S. Morpeth is saying, I really seem to struggle with getting through to potential clients. I have a lot of artists that interact with my posts on Instagram and Facebook. So I'm doing the social side, but any tips with finding customers, buyers, and workshop participants? Thanks for the idea of sharing on groups. So yeah, this is the thing. Sometimes we end up in what I have learned to be called an echo chamber, where it feels like we're all sharing similar things and we're all supporting each other's work, and then we haven't got the customers. It can be really, really difficult. And I think that one of the things that I've learned and I've focused on over the last year is globalizing my audience. So most of my customers now come from America, which blows my mind, but that is what's happened. And it was because I honed in more about celebrating the things that were unique to where I live, to the northeast of England. You know, the American audience really wanted to know more about what it's like living on the coast, the castles, like the ancient stuff, the just the Britishisms of the way that we do things that's different. And there's something in terms of them feeling more compelled to work with someone with a British accent. So that's all happened. So that's just like one example of something that I lent into because I could see it was happening. Now, how I figured that out was by really getting to know my audience. So you might think, oh, okay, like I know who these people are, they're mainly other artists and stuff, but understanding the customer profile of the person, you know, when they come. So I had a one-to-one with Corinne this morning, who runs Powder Butterfly. She's amazing. If you've not come across Corinne, she's really amazing. She has a product-based business that celebrates lots of different places within the UK, and she kind of celebrates the manufacturing link with everything being British made as well. So we were just chatting about her getting to know her business better. So she'd said she thought she ran a seasonal business where, for the most part, people were buying at markets in the last chapter of the year. But since she's been doing the Quayside Market regularly on Sunday for the rest of, like, for the majority of this year, she's learned that actually she's got a big contingent of people that are visitors to Newcastle. And that has kind of linked her up with more ideas about how to talk to tourists, which she wasn't really doing before. So it was more that kind of luxury gift market that she was speaking to, and she thought that that's what it was. And then now it's more, oh, tourists are really interested in this work and being able to take a memento home. So that really shifted our focus. And I do think if we can do any in-person, you know, markets or meetups, or kind of asking our colleagues, what do you think about this? Like, what did you like about this post? What did you want to know more of? We know our businesses inside out, but nobody else does. And sometimes we forget to give them the level of detail that makes them really interested and makes them want to buy from us. So yeah, that's what I'd say on that. I hope that helps. I don't know whether you've got anything else on that one, Beth.
Yeah, just
Just in
really
terms
quickly
of,
for
yeah.
Sarah. Oh, sorry, yeah, I was just. Um, I think as well, Sarah, if you think about, do you call it the pain point of the customer? So your client, sorry, what it is that they struggling with. So I think I'm right in saying you ran the book making workshops. I'm just looking at the post we did for you, the workshop, the paper cutting you did. So for that, it might be good to beforehand put out something about someone might have been really interested, but they don't want to go and have to buy all the tools to do it before they've tried it. And so you're offering this where they can come and try it before they make that decision. But yeah, I think
That's a
about that.
really good point. And also things like, you know, maybe making enough space for you to look after your own creativity, which in turn looks after your well-being. So, and then, sometimes for me, like when I've been to creativity classes, it's because I'm so sick of being on the internet. I don't want to be at my laptop again. Like I want to do something different. And our brains are still working and thinking of ideas when we're honing into like creative craft and stuff. So that was what sold me into the workshops. And then also the fact that I was making something that could be a gift. So when people kind of pulled on, you can make, 5 of these, and then you've got like Christmas gifts or unique Christmas gifts or whatever it was. So things like that I really like. And I just like it when people speak directly to what I'm going to value from that experience. We're all nervous and cautious, aren't we, about trying new things. So anything that you can share about the space that it's in, oh, it's nice and cozy and you can make your own cup of tea, or I've brought the good biscuits, or, whatever else it is that just tries to help storytell around the environment as well as what you'll be doing. A couple of workshops that we've been to, myself and my husband went to one, and he felt really rushed, but I quite liked the pace of it. So explaining the pace to people, like you're going to have a good 2 hours, this is how it's going to break down, this is what's going to work. That also kind of anything that you can tell people about the detail really helps sell them in to kind of come into something as well. Can be really good to do. So Chris is saying, because our festival is once a year, we've only focused on social media in the weeks running up to the festival. Listening to you both, I'm sure we need to be building an audience year round, but 3 times a week is not feasible. In the autumn, you just have to sit. Lots of pics of people sitting and discussing what to do in the next festival. Yeah, you could get away with a few of those though, Chris. Any thoughts on what the minimum we should aim for? Once a week, once a month, then increasing in the spring. So yeah, what do you think about that one, Beth?
I definitely, you need to, yeah. I get what you're saying about why you would just start posting kind of in the run up to, because that's when you've got something that you're to be talking about. But again, can you be sharing lots of behind the scenes things that are going on in the meantime? I would definitely be showing up, perhaps minimum twice a month, perhaps, just so that you're still on people's radar, you're still popping up, and there might be connections that you could be making in the meantime via social media, so that when it comes to the build up to the festival and you're really trying to push it, then you've already got this kind of catalogue of connections that you've made, and people wanting to support the festival a bit more because they know more about it. It would be quite hard work, I think, to do the festival and then just disappear until it comes around to that time again next year. So again, if you're struggling for like the actual content, like photographs and things to share, share some of it of people sitting around discussing the next festival. That's fine, do that. And then maybe just have photographs of where the festival's being held, like the location, take photographs of that to share. Share photographs of who the festival is for, or recap from previous festivals, and just continue to share that. People won't get bored of seeing your festival photos and behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think things like festivals as well. Like I used to work for or I used to work for Newcastle Gates Initiative, and then we held Juice Festival as part of the program of festivals and events. And what was really interesting about that was that we did try and keep some of the consistency of showing up all year round for a 10-day festival. And we would do that by, when we were redesigning the brand, we would get everybody bought in, and that would be a good month's worth of content. Like, right, we've had these designs back from the designers. What do you guys think? What about this? What about that? Because then you're getting everybody to kind of buy into something that they're going to be part of. So yes, you're organizing it, but other people that are going to come and be part of the audience. So things like that can be good. Get in that kind of tone of voice that Beth mentioned as well. So however people feel at the festival, whether that's inspired, excited, like trying to get some of that language out in your posts, and sharing some of those feelings. If someone's having a hard day and they go on social media and then they're reminded of what a lovely time they had at the festival, that's just a really nice nostalgic connect. And then they might share that. So you trying throughout the year to try and get opportunities for that content to be shared, for people to feel bought in, for people to feel like as soon as the tickets go on sale, if it's ticketed, that they want to get their tickets. and just really build that momentum for it. There's so many ways that we think, oh, nobody will be interested in that, but everybody's interested in everything because there's so many different people online all the time. And I've been amazed, if I'm asking about decision making and I put a poll up. So on Instagram stories, you can do a poll. I think you can on Facebook as well. And when people tell me, oh, this is what I think, it's always the opposite to what I was going to do. And then that's like consistently my whole career. I'm like, oh, not that then. Okay. So that can be just really interesting to get to know your audience, but also to kind of steer a direction. You say to someone, do you want me to program this at 6 o'clock or 6:30? And then you get like a vote going or whatever. Like people like all that sort of stuff. So I think that can be really useful too. Um, Oh yeah, testimonials, Justine. Absolutely. Yeah, great. Okay, well, thank you all so much. We've hit like we're just after 1 o'clock, so we'll end there. But I really appreciate those of you that could come live. Like I said, this is a 3-part series. So next time we're going to cover off mailing lists. And then the next time after that, it's going to be more about profile raising and PR. Thank you all for coming. Thanks to Beth for sharing her expertise. Obviously, we're both there on Instagram if you want to chat more. You've got the Northumberland Artists and Creatives Facebook group as well. So let us know if you've got any feedback. I'll stop recording just in case anyone does want a quick chat.